Frikken Crazy 8. So this is a little bit different of a game. It's not formal 8-way. It is a little bit more strategy oriented and a little bit more, it's got some interesting and clever kind of rules. Now, if this isn't your thing, if you're not into board games, you don't like, or are confused by this, don't stress. Only one person really needs to understand it on your team. And for the most part, you can go up and just enjoy good skydiving. And there's a big advantage to just doing great skydives. And if you have any questions, of course, I can help you as you go along. So if you are the kind of person that likes this sort of stuff, though, dig in. There's a written version of the rules that's more extensive, and it has an example playthrough as well. All right, so essentially, this one works differently. Instead of getting a dive like you would at nationals or a competition, you're given a menu of points to choose from. They're all static points. There's no blocks or two-part moves, just single static formations. And here's a little snippet of a prior year's, right? Which it can change from year to year. But here's an example of some formations that you may choose to do. So you can look at them and decide, engineering-wise, and also just skill-wise, what you think is going to be best for you. So it's a very flexible kind of thing. For each formation that you successfully complete, you'll get a playing card. So you'll keep this playing card with your team, and that'll come in a second, and that's that's how you're going to score points. It's important to remember that the formations themselves are not the same as points. You can do a bunch of compressed accordions down here, for example, but that doesn't necessarily put any points on the board. They'll get you playing cards, which is how you'll actually end up scoring the points. So, okay, great. So you've done a bunch of stuff. How do you know what is worth points? So after each round, so at the beginning you won't have any idea what a scoring set is, but after you land from the first round, a scoring set will be revealed, and usually it's 2 per after each round for a total of 8, but that could vary from year to year too. I've got an example of a prior year, and what this means is if we're looking down here, we have a star and an open, and it's worth 1 point. So basically, if you have a star card and an open accordion card, and you can cash that in at the end of the meet for a point, right? So the points aren't necessarily the individual stuff, it's the combinations or the set. And of course, you can cash in multiple sets. So if you had 3 stars and 3 open accordions, you'd get 3 points. Now, here's where the fun part is like these aren't revealed until after the rounds, and they're valid the whole time, right? Nothing gets cashed in until the end, but you won't necessarily know what the future combinations might be. Of course, there's a few important rules to keep in mind. The working time is 50 seconds from the exit. You'll earn cards. Now, you can't just do star, star, star. You have to attempt at least 3 different formations per dive. So in other words, you need 2 different formations before you repeat it. So you can't do star, open. You can do star, open, donut, star, open, donut, right? And you can make them longer, right? The strategy of your team, there's no rules for how many you can do, but you need at least 2 in between before repeating a score. So basically, you can't just flash on and off the whole time. Again, formations are not points. That's the trickiest thing to remember. Only the valid combinations revealed at each round are going to be worth points at the end. Now, because it's a fun meet, we do have quarter points and half points. So what that means is if you get 4 flyers in your formation, then you'll get a quarter point card. If you manage to get 6, you'll get a half a point. And you can combine those quarters and halves to make a whole point, and it'll be treated and cash it in basically for a 1 point card, so that you can basically, if you fail to, like somebody goes low, right, you can still get half a point, and then you can try it again and get another half point, and it can become a whole formation. So you can combine those quarter points and half points as you go. Okay, so what are some good strategy tips? Okay, so basically, you'll want to probably diversify the formations that you choose for more options, right? So as you start out, instead of, if you're a team that thinks they're going to score a lot of points, you might be better off picking a slightly longer skydive and having more options. So as scoring sets are revealed, different combinations are going to make more sense. As things are revealed each round, you can adjust your plans. For example, if you've got a star and an open, and star open compressed is worth a bunch of points, and maybe it's worth going up and then obviously doing a compressed. The other thing you can do is you can think about prospecting. So if there's a formation like a nacho, say, that is on the menu but hasn't come up yet, there's a pretty good chance that a nacho is going to come up later. If they show you a gun in the first act, it's probably going to fire in the end. So you can decide that, like, well, let's take a risk and throw a nacho in there in case that ends up being worth more. In general, the scoring sets that are revealed later in the meet are worth more points. So the ones in the revealed last, after we can't do anything about them, are worth the most. You can trade and build alliances. So one of the more interesting things people discovered last year was that, like, it's the cards that count, not the points. So if you have something that you want to trade with other people, or from the beginning, if you want to build an alliance to try to take down a more experienced or faster team, that can work really, really well. And then finally, old cards are still valid. So if you did Frikken Crazy 8s in a prior year and still have leftover cards that you didn't use for scoring sets, those still count. Those formations are not guaranteed to come up in the menu, but if they do, they absolutely can be used. So you can start off with a bunch of cards that could be worth a lot of points. Also, they are often used as promotions. Freshlings all get a card, a head start card. So recruiting a freshling, as long as they are participating in the meet, their card becomes valid. So you can use that to get yourself in a little bit of an advantage for adopting a freshling, so to speak. And the winners get actually usually 3-point cards. So that's a good strategy. There's other promotional events that hand these out for. So that would be another great way to build your team and sort of strategize. So like I said, there's written rules with an example of how you could move through the meet. If you don't understand it completely, that's totally fine. Someone on your team will probably catch on. And part of the fun is discovering the rules and discovering what strategies might work better than others. And all in all, if you have a great day of good fun skydiving, then you'll be generally rewarded and you'll be given quite the advantage.